I'm afraid we reach the moment of the show where I have to anger some people who I consider friends. In fact, maybe some of you. I continue to be concerned about the woke right, which is really no different from the woke left. You know, if you listen to progressives right now who want Donald Trump fired perpetually and fought and stopped, they say Democrats, they got to meet the moment. You got to meet the moment. And by meeting the moment, they mean riot and burn things down. The woke right uses the phrase, know what time it is. And the way you know what time it is, according to the woke right, is when you must abandon your long-held principles because you decide your principles no longer work. What has conservatism conserved? Don't you know what time it is? You hear this all the time from the woke right. The woke right likes cancel culture just like the woke left. The woke right wants to use power for the sake of power. They want to get rid of power so the other side can use it, can't use it. They want to use power, and ultimately it leads actually to the authoritarianism. Both sides warn about the other side. Listen, if you use power for the sake of power, at some point you can't give up that power. Otherwise, the other side will use it against you. There's no such thing as permanent majorities in this country. And so both the woke right and the woke left are very authoritarian because they do want to silence the other side. And the only way they can completely stop the other side is to refuse to give up power. The woke right and the woke left are the same sorts of people. They are antagonistic. They will use whatever prevailing consensus they have and weaponize it against the other side. Look at this Christian nationalist argument by some people on the right that we need to prohibit everybody else in this country. We've never really been pluralistic. They revise the history of the country the same way the woke left does. And one of the things that both the woke right and the woke left do is they try to delegitimize the way. For the last 4 years in the United States, we have seen the woke left, the hard-charging progressives, try to delegitimize the United States Supreme Court. We have had attacks on Sam Alito's wife. We have had attacks on Sam Alito. We have had attacks on Clarence Thomas. We've had attacks on Clarence Thomas's wife. We've had attacks on Neil Gorsuch. And we've had attacks on Brett Kavanaugh. God knows what the left went through to try to stop Brett Kavanaugh from getting on the Supreme Court. We've had attacks from the left on Amy Coney Barrett and her family. Well, now Donald Trump's in charge, and the woke right is not getting what they want from the Supreme Court as quickly as they want it. As I have long said, I suspect the Supreme Court is going to give the Trump administration a lot of what it wants on its ability to deport. But they're not going to do it at the pace that the Trump administration wants. And it's all about hurrying up, hurrying up, hurrying up. Don't you know what time it is? You got to hurry up. You got to rise. You got to meet the moment. You got to hurry it up, Supreme Court. You got to hurry it up. Amy Coney Barrett, you're slowing us down. Amy Coney Barrett, who is a big believer in process and doesn't like the so-called shadow docket, the emergency docket that the Supreme Court uses to move things along. She is a big opponent of it. She thinks everything needs to be open and transparent. She's big on process. And she sides repeatedly with the conservatives on the big issues of the day. She sided with the conservatives on affirmative action. She sided with conservatives on abortion. She sided with conservatives on the Chevron doctrine. She repeatedly sides with conservatives, and yet she doesn't move fast. And so she's a lib. She's a squish. She's undermining the court. The court started this fight. This is all about the courts. You know, the progressives actually using the court system did start the fight, and I think the Supreme Court's going to end the fight. But they're not doing it at the pace the woke right wants, because the thing the revolutionaries of the woke right and the woke left want, the progressives of the left and the progressives of the right want, is speed. They want rapid speed. At all times, in all cases, they want the Supreme Court to move at their speed. They want the Supreme Court to move as fast as possible to give them what they want. And they will discredit and undermine the institutions of the judicial system if they don't give it to them at the moment they want them, because don't you know what time it is? Let me give you an example of the United States Supreme Court that the progressive right now wishes to destroy. They wish to destroy the institution that gave us Fisher versus United States. Do you know what Fisher versus United States is? That's the case that threw out lots of convictions of the rioters of January 6th. The January 6th defendants the Supreme Court ruled that they were wrongly charged with obstruction of justice. So the United States Supreme Court gave what the right wanted. Fisher versus United States. Roberts, Thomas, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, they were in the majority. Even Jackson, yes, left-wing progressive Justice Jackson concurred in the Fisher versus United States decision. Amy Coney Barrett was in the minority on that one. This Supreme Court that doesn't know what time it is clearly a tool of the far left, stopping Donald Trump, gave us Trump versus Anderson. Trump versus Anderson is a case that said that states could not take Donald Trump off the ballot. In that case, John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the United States of America, was joined by Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito and Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett and Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yeah. This Supreme Court that's not won't meet the moment, doesn't know what time it is clearly on the wrong side of Trump and is bad and corrupt. It gave Donald Trump a unanimous win and kept him on the ballot. This United States Supreme Court that doesn't know what time it is and has gone woke and left and wants to stop Donald Trump, it gave us Trump versus the United States of America. Trump versus United States of America gave the President of the United States massive immunity to be President of the United States and obstructed the case against Donald Trump, stalled the case against Donald Trump so that he could get elected without having to go to trial. It was John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Sam Alito, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett together siding with Donald Trump against the prosecutor who wanted to prosecute him in the United States District Court of the District of Columbia. Yep, they don't know what time it is. This court is clearly out to get Donald Trump. They removed certain January 6 defendants from prison. They kept Donald Trump on the ballot in key states. They protected him from prosecution, but they're not moving fast enough on the due process issue. They want to have a hearing on the due process issue. They want to make sure that people being deported from this country are being lawfully, legally deported from this country. And oh, by the way, it was the Trump administration that sent a man to El Salvador with a judicial order telling him not to send the man to El Salvador, and they screwed it up. Is it any wonder the United States Supreme Court wants to slow down? When I was majoring in political science in college, I had a professor, Coomer, who was not a conservative. He was pretty liberal, but boy, the real libs didn't like him because he was willing to give a fair hearing to the other side. And he spent a lot of time on horseshoe theory. And horseshoe theory is the idea that at the outer edges of the far left and the far right, it's basically the same people. They move to each other. Now Coomer was actually believed in political circle more than a horseshoe. He thought that it comes full circle. The far left and the far right meet together in the circle. And it was just his variation of the horseshoe theory. And he said there are a lot of political scientists actually who reject the idea of it. It has come full circle. In horseshoe theory, the far left and the far right are almost touching. It's the wokes on the right, the wokes on the left, the progressives. The progressive rights. I mean, look at the people who are backing some of Donald Trump's economic reforms right now. They were socialist Bernie Sanders supporters, and now they're socialist Donald Trump supporters. They believe we need some sort of a progressive Politburo to set industrial policy in the United States. It's what socialists believe. Socialists believe the government should set a national industrial policy. It's what the people supporting the tariffs believe. The socialists believe in a command and control economy. Peter Navarro was a member of the left. He now advises Donald Trump, and he hasn't changed a single position. He's just changed his political party. You see this with the I guess the Steve Bannons of the world who just want to use power for the means justify the ends, or the ends justify the means rather. You get the outcome you want. Who cares how you got it done? Use the power of government. They want to wield the power of government against their opponents. They don't want to get rid of the power. They like it. But the problem, again, is that at some point, the other side's going to get the power unless you stop them. And how do you stop them? Through any means necessary, because the ends justify the means. That's wokeism. It lacks grace. It's all or nothing. You have your truth. It doesn't matter. You can lie as much as you want to get your way. God will forgive you, you see. And you know the way they justify this is a sick thing they do. They say, well, I mean, wasn't it right that people lied to save the Jews in the Holocaust? We should be able to lie to advance a policy. Think of all the people we're going to save with our policy. So lying's okay. God will forgive you. They twist the horrors of saving Jews from the Holocaust to, well, you know, we can lie. We're protecting babies. We can lie. We're protecting children from transgenders, and we can lie. The left believes you can lie too. They don't care about God or sin. They don't want to be honest. The ends justify the means. And so now, for 4 years, we have watched the woke left try to discredit and destroy the United States Supreme Court, hoping to bully the justices of the Supreme Court to give them their way and to meet the moment. To meet the moment. That's what they said. The Supreme Court's not meeting the moment. And now the woke right is doing the same damn thing, discrediting the Supreme Court, attacking John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, who sided with the January 6th defendants, who sided with Trump's ballot access, who sided with Trump on immunity. But they don't know what time it is. We got to hurry it up. We got to hurry it up. We got to round these people up. Trump's got until the Democrats take back Congress in 2027. We got to hurry it up. The Supreme Court's slowing this down. We got to deport all these people as quick as possible. They don't need due process. We don't give them due process. We will break down the shackles and institutions of the United States to give the right what they want. It's exactly what the left wants. The wokes on both sides will destroy any institution that stands in their way because those institutions just don't know what time it is. I would submit at times like this, what time it is the time to stand firm in your principles of right and wrong and not give in for the sake of power, because power is corrupting, and it would be far better for us to destroy the power and use the Supreme Court to end the power of the politicians. And you know, the deep irony here with tariffs and everything else and the way it's probably going to wind up with a recession and everything else is that it probably is going to broke either the court system or the Congress to act to rein in the power of the executive. And that in and of itself will be a very good thing. And the irony of all ironies that so many of these people on the left and the right who demand that the executive use their power because don't you know what time it is might actually see that power go away. And that will be a huge, huge conservative win for all of us.